Zentrix AI. The advanced AI-powered trading platform for every trader. Everything you need for trading success. Research, strategy, automation, all in one platform. Right strategies in plain language. We build the bots. Forex, crypto, stocks, futures, every market. Trade smarter, not harder. Zentrix AI. The advanced AI-powered trading platform for every trader. Zentrix AI. The advanced AI-powered trading platform for every trader. Everything you need for trading success. Research, strategy, automation, all in one platform. Right strategies in plain language. We build the bots. Forex, crypto, stocks, futures, every market. Trade smarter, not harder. Zentrix AI. The advanced AI-powered trading platform for every trader.
Okay, what's up, people? Welcome back to another stream. Hope everyone is doing well. As always, guys, if you're enjoying the content, please be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and of course, make sure you do go and hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. As always, guys, make sure you do check out the Discord channel linked in the description. If you do want to see more with Zentrix, we do have, actually, let me link the Telegram channel. So if you do want to find more updates regarding launch and more information, you can check out the Telegram. The link is in the chat there, completely free to join. So check it out if you're interested. But if you are looking to get involved with AI in terms of your trading, generated automated trading bots, different strategies, developing a strategy, developing indicators, definitely something to consider and look into. Check out the Telegram for more information and regarding launch as well. But guys, welcome back to another stream. Hope everyone is well. As always, we'll go through the USD side of things first. Take a look at the dollar, Euro USD, Pound USD, rest of the USD majors. We'll go through gold and silver as well. Of course, any particular requests, let me know in the chat. Any charts you're looking to trade or just want my opinion on, let me know in the chat. And of course, any particular time frames as well. Most of the time I'm on the 4-hour chart, but if you're looking elsewhere, let me know and I will have a look-see. But first thing is first, we've got the DXY, which has been mostly bearish this week. Very, very big push to the downside, clearing out major lows. So at this point in time, I'm kind of waiting to see what dollar's going to do next. I'm not necessarily looking to short the pair or short the dollar because we are still kind of very corrective as a whole. Can you even draw it like that or like that? I mean, more or less, we're in a corrective channel. That's the biggest takeaway for the DXY. The market is bearish, yes, but we are still very corrective, and a bigger up move, I think, is still on the cards. Yes, the market is still bearish. I think intraday, the sales do look very good. There's a nice brief consolidation here, where if the market can come back to retest that, I think that's a very smart place for a short. And a continuation, of course, you got prior lows as well, which hopefully could act as resistance. So I do still see more downside here for USD, but again, how much downside, that's the question. We might still keep falling for a few days. I think the bigger move in terms of where the next major swing will be, I think we'll form another major low like we did over here and probably see a pullback over the next few weeks. But of course, that could take some time, so I'm not going to speak too much about that, especially today's Friday. You know, we're not really too concerned with that until next week. So for now, USD, if there is a pullback, I mean, I highly doubt we'll have a pullback like this and a continuation by the end of today. So I don't really see much opportunity. I wouldn't look to buy the dollar. I think that's pretty aggressive, taking into consideration how oversold the market is. Yes, I do expect a retracement, but I think trying to catch that low is just always an aggressive trade, a difficult trade to take. But I do like the intraday shorts here. If you drop to a lower time frame, respect support, I think naturally that will give a nice push lower. So of course, Euro USD pretty much just flipped that bias around. Similar brief pause there in the market. Nice rally. You've got prior resistance over here, which of course will be turned support. And I think that will be a nice area for a bounce and a continuation for Euro USD as well. Of course, same situation as the dollar. We've got this uptrend. Things still look really corrective. So yes, the market's still bullish, but I'm not expecting crazy moves for Euro USD because of the fact that we are quite stretched and we are still quite corrective. If we find some momentum that does break us out of this channel and we have a big move like this, okay, maybe the trend is healthy again. Maybe we are going to continue. But for now, I am looking for somewhat of a pullback back into structure here. I might see a nice bounce there back to wherever the swing high is. So keeping it short and sweet with Euro because it looks like the trend is becoming less and less healthy and probably likely for a bigger correction. So I would keep it short and sweet, find some nice areas, take some entries, maybe back into the swing high and potentially call it a day. So I would keep a close eye on 1.162, lines up very well with the DXY bias. Two very similar levels, just of course inverse of each other. It's always good to see Euro USD and the DXY kind of in sync with their price action. But yeah, it's a bullish market. If we can come lower, I do think there will be some nice buying opportunities. Of course, we want to see some signs of rejection first before jumping in. But if we can see that, I think that is a smart place for some intraday buys. In terms of pound USD, I think same situation as well. We've had a big consolidation. Price, of course, cleared that to the upside. In fact, pound USD looks a little bit more healthier than euro. I like the momentum here with pounds. We've had a very flat range, which of course price has broken to the upside with quite a big push. So the way I see it, the market is very bullish here. We've kind of broken out that range with somewhat of a healthy breakout. So if the market could be kind enough to retest the high of the range, which of course would be prior resistance turn support, I think that would be a very healthy place for a buy. You've of course got this brief range here as well, which gave us some momentum. I think that would be a smart place for a buy. And again, similar with euro, I wouldn't look for a crazy move of pound. Market's been bullish for a while. We are quite kind of dry here a little bit, so I would be careful of that. But I do think we can see a push back into the high, and then we'll go from there. Maybe we break through the highs, maybe we turn back around from there, maybe leave a position to run and you trail stops. You could do that as well. But this is a solid level of resistance because it kept us ranging for a few weeks. Now that, of course, price has seen a very substantial break of that level, with convictions, not like we just half-heartedly broke the high. It was a very impulsive push, and now price is back at hopefully pricing me back at 1.362. So pound USD buys also look good. Again, I think this looks a little bit better than euro. But for both of them, I'm not expecting big moves, primarily because we already had one. So I do expect bigger pullbacks at some point, but for now, things are still looking pretty bullish. In terms of dollar CAD, this one's been pretty bearish. No kind of pullback for dollar CAD so far, but I'm not going to write that off. I still do think dollar CAD can make a push back to the lows here at 1.355. There's, of course, support we've just broken through. In fact, if I go to the hourly chart, see it a bit better. So we got support which you just broke through, and if we can see a retest of that, I think that's a smart place for a short. I was looking for price to rally back into the highs and then sell, but price was very bearish yesterday afternoon, so it does not look like we'll get back up there. But this is a pretty key level, which of course we have smashed straight through, and looking for a retest of that, provided we see some healthy rejection, I think is definitely a nice place for a short, and an area where we could probably try and catch the next swing high. We've got 1, 2, potentially third, and of course if that does hold, we could probably see a swing, at least back to the low, but more importantly, back into this low. So I think the risk to reward on this position makes a lot of sense, and we could see a lot more downside. So yeah, dollar CAD, I like the sells with dollar CAD. Of course, USD is still pretty weak, so that kind of ties up with that pretty well. Dollar CAD, for the most part, still putting in a lot of major lower highs and lower lows too, for that matter. But you got high there, low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. So again, this potentially could be the next lower high in this sequence, and potentially we could still see some new lows beyond that. So yeah, for me, dollar CAD, very bearish. It lines up with the bias with the dollar quite well. Structure's pointing down, and we do have some key levels for price to come back and retest as well. And in terms of Aussie dollar, again, still keeping a close eye on the shorts, not quite at the upper end of the channel. So if I whip out the old ascending channel, not quite at the upper end, I'm kind of looking around the 0.66 area for some selling opportunities to try and anticipate a third test of the high and a swing back down. Because after all, Aussie dollar is still very much within the channel. As long as price kind of rebounds either side, there's not much to do really. We had this massive fake out at the beginning of the week. I did say perhaps we could retest the low end of the channel. That might be a nice place to position long and ride the wave back to highs again. Didn't really see that retest, but we have been pretty bullish since. Looks like price is struggling at resistance here a little bit. We might see a bit of a dip because of that, but I do think we can still get to the up end of the channel. That's, after all, the only area which I would look to sell from really. I wouldn't want to sell in the middle of that. I want to be up at the highs or down at the lows, away from all of the noise. So price can push higher. That would interest me, provided we see some healthy rejection. Then possibly we could see a push back to 0.647, which is the lower end of the channel, and then maybe a bigger breakout as well. So the way I see it, Aussie dollar could still be a ticking time bomb to break lower. But yeah, just waiting for a good entry before getting involved. And at the moment, not really interested in price. New Zealand dollar, not a big fan of, to be honest. I mean, yeah, I'm not a big fan. I don't really have a clear-cut setup. I'm kind of just boxing this off as a range and just leaving price to do its thing there and not really trying to get involved. There might be some nice sells as we do approach the high. Of course, this is very, substantial resistance. We did get a nice sell. So naturally, there could be another short opportunity off the back of that. How big of a move, I'm not too sure. I'll be keeping a close eye on those shorts, to be honest, because I do think we can still rally higher. I think after this kind of massive sell-off followed by a very sharp recovery, I think we are likely to see new highs past that point there. So if we do short, I've got an expectation I'm probably for another higher low to go and break the highs. So if I was short from here, I would be very watchful over that trade. But we are at resistance, provided we see a strong rejection. That could be a nice short to take, especially intraday. I think right now the market is quite flat, no substantial rejection, so I would be waiting to see if that can happen. But the best I've got with New Zealand dollars, we're at resistance. We might see a bit of a sell-off from there, so keep an eye for shorting opportunities, but definitely not my favorite pair at the moment. In terms of gold, so gold, I have been looking to buy the pair, but it looks like we're about to break support, or have we? Yeah, I mean, looks like we're about to break. I wouldn't say that the breakout is clear cut right now, so I wouldn't suggest breakout, but it looks like we're on that path there. So yeah, gold's not looking good for longs at all. I said if price does break through support, I will just stop looking to buy the pair altogether right now. I still would be bullish bias, because if I do expand to the daily chart, this is a very long-standing uptrend. So us breaking through support there doesn't necessarily mean okay, we're just going to sell off a cliff now. It might mean that we see a bit more downside, but I would still say very bullish. I think this is a very significant low for gold. If we're to push back into 31.60, 31.50, I think this is a smart place for a buy. But if we are going to break support, here, then I would expect to see lower highs form, or continue, I should say, because they have already been forming. And that probably will take us back down into support there. So there could be some nice shorts on gold in the meantime to ride it back down into that 31.50 area. Then if you're looking for a bigger swing trade, there might be some nice buys down here to take back up again. But we'll see how price operates in those areas before taking any longs. The way I see it, gold is still very much bullish on the high time frames. There's a lot of upside. Excuse me. There's a lot of upside. There's a lot of upside potential for gold, technically and fundamentally, but maybe we are due a deeper correction before we do see some upside. So keep an eye on the shorts, and maybe we can take some selling opportunities intraday, and then maybe some long-term swings later on. But I probably would wait for price to get here now before looking to buy. And in terms of silver, this one had a very strong reaction off the high over here, which of course looks like somewhat of a head and shoulder pattern. So with silver, I'm still very bullish on this one as well. I mean, I am looking for price to come lower anyway. I did say I was looking for a buy off this level. 34 point, just below 35, but 34.89, something like that. This level here looks really good for a long. I'm still very interested in that level. We had a brief pause there as well and a massive bullish candle following that. So there's a lot of momentum from this area. So I'm still looking for a retest. The only way I do get put off buying silver is if price was to break back within this level, because this might be deemed to be a bit of a fake out, and that could invite a lot of selling pressure. And yeah, a bigger move to the downside, which I'm not so interested in right now with silver. So still bullish, still looking for a deeper retracement. I think that rejection is quite significant, so we probably could see a bit more downside off the back of this. I know this is a pretty strong level of support. There's been a lot of wick rejections here. I would keep an eye to see how we operate here. Maybe if you do provide some more wicks, maybe price does find support and rally again. But again, I would expect this to be the more significant level. So this is where I would want to position myself long from. So I'm kind of hoping to see price break that area and then react with that 34.8 level. Then yeah, hopefully you can find some buys there for silver as well. But judging gold, it looks like gold could come lower. So because of that, probably silver comes low as well. But yeah, I'm only interested in buying silver for now. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with both silver, gold, of course the USD pairs, and the other USD pairs. I do think for now DXY is pretty bearish, but I am expecting some pullback soon. I'm just gonna say Taj. Taj, we just had a look at golds. If there is a particular time frame you do want me to look at, let me know. Put it in the chat. SemFX, what's up? Pound Aussie, I want to review it again for my analysis. I believe it will break resistance and go bullish. Selling will only be confirmed if we break 2.09286. Okay, yeah, I'll go through that again. I mean, for the first time. But okay, I'll have a look at that level as well, 2.09286. Blessing, good morning. Hope you're well. Welcome to the stream. King Kong concept pound Aussie is very bullish on the higher time frame. Yeah, it is a counter trend trade. My pound Aussie shorts is not in favor of trend. It definitely is going against the larger trend, but it's a counter trend position, expecting to see potentially a counter trend move. The idea of the position is that we're short at a level where if price does hold, there's a lot of downside possibility. And we're kind of short before the market is bearish, which of course is a bit more of an aggressive trade. It definitely is more of an aggressive position. We're going against the higher time frame trend, but because the market has found a lot of resistance here and rejected very well, if we are going to continue that rejection, there's a lot of downside possibility back to these lows and potentially further as well. But I probably would take most of my profits there if you do go back to that level. But yeah, the expectation with pound Aussie is that I'm looking to see if the market can have that bigger retracement. Yes, the trend is very much up. It is a counter trend move, which I'm looking for going against the grain. But because we have taken out major highs, I'm looking to see if we can top out and start to see somewhat of a bearish trend. The market did form a lower high here technically, and we did see some momentum there creating new low, and price so far has remained respecting that level. So as long as price doesn't break through that high, I would be looking at a lower high here and a push down. If of course we do break resistance, that would be a very bullish signal. At that point in time, I'll be looking at pullbacks and a push back to the high, which is at 2.15 roughly. So that would be the bullish signal for pound Aussie. But I am looking at a counter trend move, looking to see if price can start to form somewhat of a bearish trend. We've had numerous rejections at this level, another rejection yesterday afternoon, and we're going to see if that momentum can continue. I've got stops above the high. If price does break resistance, I'll stop out and monitor the breakout, because if it's a big breakout, then I would switch my bias, and then I would be looking for longs back into 2.15 after that, and hopefully you can find a retest of that level somewhere as well. But yeah, the analysis is just because we are maintaining structure here on the 4-hour chart. We did see a swing, a pullback, another bearish swing. And now for the most part, price is still maintaining resistance there. So as long as we can maintain that lower high, I would still be looking at a drive lower. Like I said, if price does break through, I will look to switch the bias around. But it is counter trend. It is a bit more of an aggressive trade, but the risk for me is worth the reward on that position, because if it does play out, hopefully I can get it back to the lows here where I'll probably secure most of my profit, but I will leave positions to trail because I'm at a price where if this is going to turn around, I'm at a price where I can probably comfortably hold on to some positions for a much bigger swing. But yeah, as long as we maintain resistance, I like the opportunity. If we break 2.09286, 2.09286, whereabouts is that? Okay, so that's some support on the hourly chart there. So if you break this level, yeah, I mean, you could wait for that to break. That will give you a bit more confirmation that support is starting to fail as well. So you can use that to your advantage. Of course, waiting for that to break will mean that you enter a little bit later into the trade. So your stop loss would have to be a bit bigger, provided your stop loss is up here. If you are going to enter like this and wait for a retest of that area or something, then of course, if you have a stop loss somewhere there, it's a bit more vulnerable. It's not kind of at the highs there. You're a little bit more exposed to getting stopped out by a random wick. So you could wait for that to break first before entering. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, that will provide you with a bit more confirmation that price can go bearish. But in terms of the entries, a little bit later on, and it will potentially put you in an awkward place with your stop loss. A lot of trading opportunities. There's the aggressive trade and there's the more conservative trade. The more aggressive trade, of course, exposes you to a bit more risk. The odds of price going in your favor might be a bit less, but normally the more aggressive trade does allow you to have a bigger risk to reward. It means you're getting into the trade a little bit earlier, which allows you to capitalize on most of the move or a bigger proportion of the move. Of course, waiting for a bit more confirmation, like support breaking there, of course, gives you a bit more confidence that, okay, momentum has really stepped in with the bears. We're probably more likely to fall now, and I would agree. But in terms of finding a later entry, probably the risk to reward doesn't look as good. And your stop loss, if it is still going to be above the high, well, because you're entering later, your risk to reward is going to take a hit because of that. And then even if you don't put your stop loss up there, if you put it somewhere around here, well, it's a bit more of an exposed place because this is clearly where the major resistance is. So yeah, you can wait for 2.09286 to break as well. That's a good confirmation. But I'd rather take the more aggressive trade, which of course is more aggressive. So odds of price pushing in my favor are less than the more conservative trade. But I'd rather take it because there's better risk to reward. And based on where my stop loss placed, I'm a lot more comfortable with the stop loss there than being somewhere inside the range, which just leaves me in a very awkward position. But yeah, from the bullish standpoint, if we do break resistance, I would be bullish as well. And then I'll wait for a retest for some long opportunities as well to take that back into 2.15, provided it's a kind of a big clear out of resistance. If it's kind of just corrective breakout, I probably would stay away. But if it's a big enough breakout, it doesn't have to be anything spectacular, just some momentum, at least 2 or 3 candles, that would be enough for me to consider looking to buy it. And yeah, I'll look for a retest and some long to 2.15. But at the moment, we're still respecting resistance well, so I'm looking for a push lower. Okay, we'll go through Euro Yen. What's up, Malik? I'm only in pound Aussie at the moment. Only in pound Aussie. It's been a bit of a slow week, but I did enter pound Aussie yesterday. Pound is stronger than Aussie. Yeah, at the moment, pound is a bit stronger than Aussie, yeah. Stefan, good morning. I hope you're well. Trade for a living, what is up? Pound CHF selling. I've actually looked at pound CHF today. Let me go take a look at Euro Yen. So yeah, Euro Yen looking very, very bullish at the moment. We've, of course, snapped through major highs at 166.796. And it looks like price could be making a move back to resistance there, 175. If this is the real deal, there's a lot of room to cover for euro yen. So if euro yen is going to break out here, I mean, it has broken out. The key thing is you're going to maintain the breakout, because of course if you have an aggressive sell-off like that, that changes everything. But for now, momentum looks good. We've cleared resistance. Next level would be 175. So I'm pretty bullish here for euro yen. I did speak about the retest of this area here for a long. Yeah, I'm still looking for that. We are taking our time, so this is probably more of an opportunity for next week. But the fact that we haven't created new highs yet kind of tells me that we might take a bit of a sell, which hopefully will happen, because I'm looking at one more push down, take out some of these lows, test this range here, which of course gave us a last up move. I think this would be a sensible place for our buy. Try and anticipate the next high low, and hopefully ride it back to highs. And again, I probably wouldn't aim for 175 in one go. I'd probably just look for a push to this high, but probably maybe half the profits and let the other half run really. But yeah, the way I see euro yen is that we are still looking pretty bullish for now. I'm looking at this as somewhat of a bull flag pattern. There's your first swing. Hopefully we can find the second, retest this range here, and hopefully find some buying opportunities off the back of that, and just try and catch the next high low in this sequence. So yeah, euro yen pretty bullish, still kind of stalling at the highs, which is a good sign if we're looking for entries. Of course, if you're already in the trade, then maybe not a good sign. But if price can push down, great. 167.5 is kind of where I'm looking. Targets back at 169.750. And the long-term targets, we could be looking at 175. So the way I see it, there's a lot more upside for euro yen. Pound seat chef we'll go through next. What's up, D-Mart? Welcome to the stream. Hope you are well. So pound seat chef, yeah, I haven't actually been keeping up to date mostly with the seat chef pairs. I was looking a lot at Aussie seat chef a couple of weeks ago, and then I got trailed out of break even on the Aussie seat chef. Then it had that massive sell off, so I kind of just stepped away after that, waiting for price to give me a bit more information about its next move. Since then, the seat chef pairs have been looking pretty bearish. Pound seat chef did break lower as well. Had a pretty nice retest of some support here, and it's been looking pretty bearish since then, pretty consistent with all of these lower highs as well. So yeah, pound CHF is looking pretty bearish. It does look like we are seeing some momentum at the moment. Again, I wouldn't get too excited until I see support break, because at the end of the day, this is still a pretty big level of support. And yes, we are looking pretty bearish right now, but you can see how many rejections we've seen at this level. For all we know, price could push back down into support and reject the pair again, reject the level again. So yes, we're selling right now, but there's not a lot to do with that. Unless you're already in a position, then of course, great. Might be looking to take some profits as price approaches support. But I wouldn't look to short it now. We're coming right back into support. There's not a lot of room to work with there either. So I would suggest wait to see if price can break through support again. And that might provide another opportunity to find the next lower high. In the sequence, being very, very consistent with these lower highs. I would bet on the continuation of that. And maybe we do push back into the lows here for pound CHF. Maybe that is a long-term target price is working towards. I'll probably keep an eye on this low here, 1.078. That looks like a strong area of support to me. I think that could be a healthy target to have. But yeah, if pound CHF is going to continue to sell, we need to see this support break, and then we can use that to our advantage and hopefully find a retest of 1.093 or 1.094 to continue the trend. But yeah, we are looking bearish. Of course, we've had a lot of selling pressure recently as well. So perhaps we are seeing the continuation of that. Pound CHF is a bit of a weird pair. There's not a lot of momentum in it, but if we continue to break support, I do think it'll be a nice opportunity there. Okay, so no problem, Sam. Happy to help. DMAR, what is up? Just took a sell on GJ. What's your take? Okay, we'll go take a look at pound yen. Raheel. Analyze CAD index. Okay. I don't think I've ever looked at the CAD index. Are you talking about the index between CAD and other currencies? Or are you talking about the Canadian stock market? If you're talking about CAD against other currencies, yeah, I don't think I've ever looked at that. But yeah, sure, I will take a look, not a problemo. And a good question. I mean, in terms of fundamentals, primarily can prioritize interest rates, especially, but I would focus on technicals. I'm a very technical trader, so I don't use that into my consideration in terms of whether I'm looking to short or buy a market. I'm always focused on market structure, trends within the market I'm trading, and of course the time frames I'm looking at. But in terms of to determine whether a currency will be bullish or bearish, or if the economy will do well, fundamentally, I kind of just focus on the interest rates and what I'm expecting to happen in the next one. Of course, compared to another currency's expected interest rate results. But I'm very, very focused on my technicals, and that's what I use to determine my thesis on a currency. What is the CAD index? Is it CXY? I've never looked at it before. I'll go take a look at pound yen first, but let me know, is it CXY? So yeah, in terms of pound yen, you said you've gone short on this one. So, I mean, yen is still pretty weak right now, and that has given us a pretty strong push. I can see we are just about pushing into some resistance, so we might see a bit of relief there. What I will say though with pound yen is that we haven't really seen much momentum. I've been expecting to see a bit more momentum, to be honest, with pound yen, with the breakout, because we've been looking at this level for quite a while. Price did break through resistance last week. Coming into this week, we did see some nice momentum above that, but for the most part, we've been pretty corrective. It's not like price has exploded higher. It's been a very slow grind higher. So now that we have approached resistance here to the left, I think it is a smart place for a short. I'd probably wait for some stronger signs of rejection before jumping in myself, but I do like the fact that we are slowing down, which again, I would expect to see a reaction lower. Whether we'll get a massive sell like this, or whether the sell will just be short term and then we continue to buy and continue to break highs, we'll have to wait and see what type of price action we get and what information we get from the candlesticks. But in terms of a location to short, I think it makes sense, especially with how price got there. Very, very corrective. So most of the time you would expect price to respect resistance, but I would just keep a close eye in terms of managing the position. Momentum is against you. The yen is still pretty weak at the moment. Yen pairs as a whole are pretty bullish. So it's a great short in terms of location, but keep a close eye in terms of the management, because that will give you the red flags in terms of, okay, maybe I need to get out of the position a little bit earlier than expected. Or if momentum picks up, maybe it's a great trade and we get a big sell. But yeah, location looks good. I would wait personally for a bit more momentum before clicking the trigger, but I like the location. And let's see if momentum can really step in. Okay, so is CAD CXY? I don't know. Okay, it looks like it is. Yeah, I've never looked at the CAD. Okay, it looks basically like dollar CAD. It looks exactly like dollar CAD, but flipped. The inverse of USD CAD, which would make sense. But yeah, in terms of the CAD index, okay, I mean, things are looking pretty bullish right now. There's a comfortable trend At the moment, we've got major resistance over here around 74.41. We've climbed the back above major support here around 72. Momentum is very much up. To me, it looks like price is probably going to push back to resistance here at 73.8. It would be nice if price could push back down into support, maybe even into the low here, or at least into this low, because this would be nice areas to go and pick up some longs. Probably not on the CAD index, but maybe shorting dollar CAD, which is kind of what I'm looking for. But yeah, I do think we are likely to rally back to highs and probably push into 74.41. So in terms of opportunities, you want price to pull back, be at a discount, potentially back to this area on an intraday level, or these levels from more of a swing perspective, but looking for a bit of a pullback before we do go higher. But yeah, targets for the CAD index is more upside, so that should imply more CAD strength. And if that is going to imply more CAD strength, then we could see USD CAD fall, maybe pound CAD and Euro CAD, maybe they might see some downside finally. Maybe CAD Yen might see some downside as well, but of course it'll depend on yen. Actually, no, upside, sorry. Yeah, CAD Yen will see some upside. Of course, yen's weak at the moment, so that would make sense. But yeah, CAD index, things are looking pretty bullish there. No, Sam, I've never traded futures. Okay, so I did not mean to do that. So in terms of the rest of the yen pairs, I mean, let me take a quick look at the basket first. So yeah, the yen to me still looks relatively weak, so I would naturally be expecting more downside here. I'm not seeing any major signs of reversal. We respected resistance pretty well yesterday. The lower highs are still very much intact and holding together. So if that's the case, then we're likely to keep falling. Of course, next target would be the prior low here at 64.95, and expecting some new lows beyond that as well. But yeah, the yen to me is still looking pretty weak. So if the yen is going to remain weak and continue falling, then that means, of course, pound yen, euro yen, CAD yen probably will push higher unless something drastically changes. And by drastic, I mean a break of structure. If price was suddenly to push the upside, go take out some of these highs, then that would make me start to rethink that bias. So if the yen was to do something like this, I would back away. That would be a bullish signal. Perhaps we could find a higher low somewhere and a continuation, and that would really change things up with the yen pairs. I don't want to rule that out because that's still very much a possibility. Price is, to a degree, finding it difficult to really break through the lows here. This was a very powerful level of support, big reaction once, another big reaction again. We did break through, but we have somewhat recovered. And if I do expand to the daily chart, you can see we did leave pretty aggressive wick to the downside. So it looks like price is breaking through, but I wouldn't say the breakout is clear or or obvious. So if price does start to see some momentum, we take out some highs, then yeah, yen can shift. But we need to see this move before I do talk about the buys on the yen itself. For now, the lower highs are intact, everything's still pretty bearish. So taking that into consideration with some other yen pairs, if we have a look at CAD Yen's been a bit awkward, I have to admit. We did break lower with this one. We broke through the trend line. We broke back below resistance here and actually retested it very well. So for the most part, I would say CAD Yen does look pretty bearish, I would say. I'm also not convinced with this up move. It's just extremely corrective. And, when we're seeing corrective moves like this, 9 times out of 10, I'm expecting price to break lower at some point. The difficult thing is, at what point is it? We could still remain corrective for a few more weeks before we actually do push down. But price action like this, especially if we're kind of trying to go through a reversal, because the market's been falling for some time. If this is going to be a reversal, I would expect more momentum. I would expect more aggressive momentum the fact that we are corrective kind of looks to me that we're just having a pullback of this last bearish move. So if that's the case with CAD Yen, we could be seeing some downside at some point in time here. But yeah, in terms of the shorts, it's a little bit tricky. I mean, there is resistance here. If this lower high does hold, that could be a nice base for a short and some downside. I would say it's a bit more of an aggressive trade. But the way we keep spiking higher and momentum keeps failing, it does look to me that price is starting to struggle and could be looking to turn around, which again is quite interesting because yen still looks weak, CAD still looks quite strong. So it's going to have to be a complete turnaround if CAD Yen is going to have a fall. Swiss yen, another interesting pair, which of course has created new all-time highs. Again, for the most part, Swiss is still quite strong, so we're probably still seeing price rally higher. But again, I'm not interested to buy buy Swiss yen because we are very bullish. Market's quite overextended. We're clearing all-time highs. This is not a position where I want to buy, especially as a swing trader. If you're intraday, of course, I can understand that. You're trying to get in, take your profit for the day, then get out. I can understand that. But if you're looking to try and buy and hold, at least for a couple of days, probably not the best place for it. So with Swiss yen, I'm kind of just monitoring price. I'm actually a bit more eager to look to sell this one once the right opportunity does come knocking. Just because we are quite stretched for all-time highs, there probably would be a big relief in price. So I do like the idea of shorting it. But yeah, for the most part, still very consistent with the higher lows. We might still see price rally through resistance here. I'm just looking to see if we can get some lower lows and lower highs into the market. And this is exactly what's going to interest me for some shorts. But I have to be patient. And that would rely on yen switching direction, breaking structure, and becoming quite strong. But for now, things are still bullish, so we're going to have to stay patient. In terms of Aussie yen and New Zealand yen, these guys are just slowly taking their time, to be honest. Aussie yen, for the most part, quite stuck at resistance, but I do think we can break higher and push back to resistance up at 95.5. We've got a pretty big level if we look to our left. I think price is likely to push there. We might see some nice selling opportunities at that level. So keep an eye on that. But we've had a somewhat of a nice sell-off, but we had a very sharp recovery. So the way I see it, this is somewhat of a V-shaped pattern. I do think price is likely to break resistance there and push back into the neckline of the pattern. Nice inverse head and shoulder pattern at play there. Left head, right shoulder. And of course, that would be your neckline. So if you see a break of that, it could actually be a very nice buy opportunity off the back of that for Aussie yen. But yes, at the moment, we're kind of stuck at resistance here. We're going to see what price can do at this level. I wouldn't really be looking to short, to be honest. The market's a bit too flat for my liking. Maybe I can contemplate some shorts at 95.5, but I think the bigger move is probably to the upside for Aussie yen. Looking at the daily chart, I'm looking at this as somewhat of a bottom of this bearish move. So if the market does break higher, if I can find a pullback after that, I think that'll be a very smart trade. And hopefully can ride that for a pretty big swing. But of course, a lot needs to happen before we can discuss that. Still stuck at some resistance here on the lower time frames. And New Zealand yen as well. This one, again, I do think can break higher. I am kind of anticipating somewhat of a bullish Aussie and a bullish NZD, which hasn't really come into play. I mean, a little bit bullish maybe, but not much of Aussie and NZD. So again, I'm looking for this to break to the upside. This to me looks like a bottom of this bearish trend. I do think price can see a break of that to the upside. And then of course, following that move could provide some really nice opportunities off the back of that as well. So stuck at resistance, I do think we're likely to break higher. And following that, hopefully there could be some nice buying opportunities. It's a very similar idea to what we had with pound yen in terms of the market squeezing between resistance and this trend line. If we do break to the upside, that should provide some nice opportunities to follow the market higher. Pound yen didn't really provide that. We did see price breakout, but there was never really a decent pullback. We did break out. There was a very small pullback there, but didn't really provide much opportunity. And yeah, pound yen has been looking pretty bullish since then. And then, of course, dollar yen, which is pretty much the odd one out because this one actually has been trending lower this week. A lot of the yen pairs have actually seen more upside. Maybe not CAD yen, but most yen pairs have seen more upside in the past few days. But dollar yen has actually been falling, of course, because USD has been pretty weak. It's just been weaker than the yen. The way I see it, price is now back within this very unorthodox range. It's not clear-cut at all, but we had very strong resistance initially over there. Price rallied through that, recovered it, acted as resistance again. Price rallied through that, recovered it, and then again acted as resistance. It's like price is repeating the move. But now we're trading in the 50% in the middle of the channel, which is, again, where I don't want to be looking to take trades because that's where the most indecision, that's where the most speculation is gonna be. And just in terms of stop loss placement, there's no solid area to put your stop loss where you can be relatively safe. There's always that kind of wick that could take you out and still see price move in your favor. So I always want to be at the low or at the high if I'm trading within a range, or of course just wait for the breakouts. But yeah, dollar yen, very, very flat right now. I did suggest yesterday that there could still be some more downside into the lower end of the support level, the lower end of the channel. I wouldn't really try to trade it there. I think it's in the middle of nowhere, so I'll let price do its thing. Then yeah, if we can push back into support, monitor price when we get there, perhaps there might be some nice buying opportunities. If not, then it could be a nice break and retest to ride it back into the low. And we'll go from there. But for now, still within the range. Dollar yen does look pretty bearish here, which again is a little bit different to what the other yen pairs are doing. Yeah, so that does interest me. And I'm actually quite bearish on dollar yen as a whole. I'm looking at the high time frames, which I kind of use to generate a bias. We've been falling for quite a while, and I'm looking at support here, and I think price can probably still make a way to come back and retest it. The way I see it, price has had another really aggressive push up higher, and that could be our next lower high for a move lower. I can see dollar yen still falling back into support there. So dollar yen still looks pretty bearish to me, which I find quite interesting because other yen pairs are looking pretty bullish. I mean, compared to euro yen, it's almost like two different markets completely, which of course they are, but normally yen pairs tend to do the same thing. Stefan, dollar CAD, is that 5 minute? I think you mean the 5 minute chart there, 5 minute longs. Haven't looked at dollar CAD in the 5 minute. I mean, yes, I would expect a pullback. I don't know if I'll be looking to buy the pair right now though. I mean, I can understand that we are breaking through resistance here. So it does look like price is about to rally. But again, I wouldn't necessarily be looking to try and pick up some longs on that breakout there. I'm always looking for retest of structure. I'm always looking to essentially buy from support and sell from resistance. Okay, 50-minute chart. So yeah, with dollar CAD, I mean, again, on the 15, I wouldn't be looking to buy either. I want to be at support, not at resistance. Yes, it looks like price is breaking out, and of course, taking trades in the breakout does make sense as well, but it's never really something that I look to try and do. And I wouldn't probably trust that breakout either. I would want to see a stronger close there. But yeah, I do think dollar CAD can pull back, but I would be careful. Momentum is very much with the bears here. So if we are taking buys here, it's from the expectation that we're probably just going to trade the pullback, and then we're probably going to expect momentum to continue lower. So it's not a position where I'll try and hold and just see how far price can go. Because of all this momentum, I would be fully prepared to expect my long trade to just to be just a pullback, and then expect the momentum to at some point go against me. So if I was looking to buy this one, perhaps I'd either wait for price to respect the lows again, or maybe even come back and retest this low here. If you come back down, respect these areas, this could be a smart place for a buy, provided we see healthy rejection. Or if momentum does really pick up, then of course the retest of the high could be something to look at as well. Potentially another higher low, 1, 2, probably doesn't really line up with the trend line too well actually. But 1, 2, and then looking for the third one, retest the high and potentially a push back into the zone, because this is where I'm looking for the retest for dollar CAD. You got very strong support there. I'm looking to see price can retest that and then sell. If you can get a trade and swing dollar CAD back into that zone, I think that's a great place to at least book some profits. You can leave profits to run if you expect the market to go further, but I would at least look to manage the trade a little bit as we approach that zone there, because we could definitely see some downside from that level. But yeah, 50-minute chart, I would agree, we're finding support. There is upside opportunity there for USD CAD. It looks like DXY is finding support as well. We are starting to flatten. This is almost probably a bit of a range now. So we are starting to flatten, and if DXY can do something like this, that will probably give dollar CAD the green light to see more upside, and we could potentially expect the DXY to retrace back to 97, and that should give dollar CAD the energy to actually see some upside there. But yeah, I'll keep it short term with dollar CAD. I think that's the biggest takeaway. Buys look good, but I would wait for a pullback so I can actually buy from support, then targets back at that range there at 1.368. I wouldn't try and take it any further than that personally, of course. But I would keep an eye on the candlesticks as well, because if price is pushing into that zone, you're not seeing any signs of rejection, then you probably would just hold into the trade. But if you are seeing signs of rejection, I would look to get out. But as a whole, I'm still pretty bearish in dollar CAD. Still looking for a push back into the low. That's kind of how I'm looking at a lot of the USD pairs. Dollar CHF, that's been pretty bearish as well. That one's cracked through support, and I do think we can continue falling. If I expand to the weekly chart, actually if I expand to the monthly chart with dollar CHF, still looking for a drive back into the lows here at 0.787, and we're not too far away from that. Still a bit of a way to go, but we're not too far. I did mention yesterday a retest of this area could be a smart place for a short. I still think it is. Actually, if we go back to the 4-hour chart, you can see the brief kind of pause we had here with the DXY. Then we had a very strong move down. If we can come back to retest that, I think that's a smart place for a short, definitely intraday. And if you can swing it back to wherever the prior low is, I think that's a smart move to take it back into the low. So the way I see it, dollar CHF still pretty bearish, healthy level to short from. Lines up pretty well for a brief area of supply. I think that's a smart place to short. Equally, I like the zone up here as well. This is a bit more of a swing idea if we see a much bigger pullback from dollar CAD, because provided we actually need to get up to this level if we're going to short from there. So if we do see a much bigger pullback with dollar CAD, then that is definitely something I will consider, and something where I would be happy to try and sit in the trade and see if I can swing it back to those monthly lows there, because I know that I'm positioned well enough that if price is going to have that big sell, I can look to hold and just see how price develops. If price was to break through this area, it would technically be a break of structure. At that point, I would be looking at some more upside for dollar CHF rather than the big sell. So I know I'm positioned well enough where I can just hold that trade, probably stomach some of the pullbacks, and look for that bigger swing. But intraday, of course, I would focus more so around here at 0.80451. And of course, a bit more swing, I'll look at around 0.815. But it's a very, very big if to see price get up there. But dollar CHF, I would be pretty bearish on this one. USD still looks pretty weak. CHF still looks pretty strong. I have been quite bullish on the CHF pairs, probably in the recent month. I have taken a couple buys in Oz CHF. Both have just been break evens. Took a buy over here, and then price did come back to take me out of the trade for break even. I took a buy over here as well. That did see a nice push back into resistance, but not enough to break through, and I took a break even there as well. Both trades, I was looking to see if I can push it back into this area, which is where all the momentum came from. I would expect price to be attracted to that level because we did consolidate and then had a massive sell-off. So naturally, I think there'll be a lot of sellers waiting for price to get there again. if we are going to continue this journey to the downside, but looks like we didn't need to do that in the end, and price is already looking pretty bearish. And maybe we are going to push back to lows here. Maybe we are. Like I said, I've been trying to look for buys because Aussie CHF has come from all-time lows. If I zoom out, look at the bigger picture, we've been falling, since forever. This goes all the way back to 1980. So for the past 50 years, we've been literally falling continuously. So, and of course, every time the market does create a new all-time low, we do recover that and see a pretty big pullback. But it looks like the market is still bearish and we are still falling at the moment. We have been very continuous with the lower highs. There is no bullish setup for me unless we suddenly go and break structure to the upside. Let's see if we can take out this high. That would probably give me the confidence to go and look to long, because at that point I've seen intent for us to go higher. Now if I find a pullback, I'll be happy to take some longs. And of course targets back to where we came from. But yeah, CHF pairs are looking pretty bearish right now, so I'm definitely putting my bullish bias to one side because at the moment, not seeing much opportunity there. What's up, Alex? Good morning. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Let me guess, going to ask about oil. Haven't actually looked at oil since yesterday. What's up, Menchi? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing good. What's up? What's up? Aussie yen. Okay, we'll have a look. As per normal, Alex. As per normal. So yeah, we'll take a look at oil. I'm actually interested in oil because we did come back to 66. Okay, and oil's been looking so flat. So yeah, I think oil in general is just at a very interesting level. There is a lot of upside potential for oil. Of course, it's just been very volatile as of late, so it's been a bit awkward to trade, but I like the area we're trading at. I think technically it looks really good. I think fundamentally there could still be some upside as well. But yeah, the plan basically is, can we hold support here? If we do that, then I would be looking at a pretty big move higher. If price does break below, then I would be looking at a push back into the lows here at 55.57. But if we can recover this and use this as support, then looking at push back into 75, 76, then eventually a push back into 80. And at the moment, I have to say, oil is pretty flat. It is pretty flat. So it's not looking anything spectacular right now. But let's say if we can see a strong close and some momentum comes into the market, doesn't have to be that big. But let's see if we can get some momentum, some decisive momentum. I think that's a really good entry signal for the trade, because all I'm looking at here for oil is a massive sell-off, which started pretty much as we open up for the week. The market's been looking exceptionally bearish. We've hit massive support, and all of that bearish momentum has now disappeared basically. We've just basically become flat, and all that bearish momentum is gone, and we're just kind of, buyers and sellers are in equilibrium. If we are going to see a big shift, it tells me that, okay, all of this momentum is gone, buyers are now back in the market and present, and of course, because it's such a significant level, I would be fairly confident that we could see more upside. Now, whether price gets all the way back to 75, 76, 80, that's a different question. But if we can see a strong close, I do think we can probably rally for probably a day or two. Keep an eye, monitor the trade as it goes. I would probably have some targets up here as the first area to look at for some profit taking. But if it does go very well, there is a lot of targets there to look at. But yeah, trading at a really great price. I'll keep an eye here for an entry. Stops below the low there, I think is a smart move to take. And definitely at a very nice location for a buy. In terms of Aussie yen, so Aussie yen, yeah, pretty flat. We just spoke about Aussie yen. I said I do think price can still see some upside. I'm looking for us to come back into resistance here at 95.5. So I do think Aussie yen can be bullish. I'm looking at the yen as well, which does look somewhat weak. too. And of course, we've been very consistent with the higher lows as well. As of late, we had a kind of an anticlimactic sell here, where price had a very sharp move down, but we recovered that very aggressively, kind of giving us somewhat of a V-shaped pattern. Of course, price has been holding onto resistance pretty well, but I do think we're still likely to break through the high here and push back into 95.5. So the way I see it, expecting us to drive higher, and then we can, of course, speak about that level. I think this could be a nice place to short the market, get there again. I wouldn't be necessarily looking for a huge move down. I think we can probably see a reaction for a few candles there, maybe a couple days, and then we have to probably look to start taking profit and start watching out for that trade. We did react very well there, but you can see, we probably pushed about 40% of the way down before price forms a higher low and pushes back up again. I think we might see a similar move, push down at the higher low. Maybe we go break it that time. But yeah, I do like Aussie yen to the downside from 95.5. Again, more of a short-term play. Of course, I would wait for price to get there and react well. And then, yeah, we can probably base a trade from that. But at the moment, I do think we can still see price push higher there with Aussie yen. In terms of BTC, Bitcoin has been interesting. We've been pretty bullish for this week anyway. Look at the weekly chart. We are about to close to the upside here, or at least we are for now. Bitcoin doesn't close until Sunday, so things can still happen between now and then. But for the most part, we are looking pretty bullish. The biggest takeaway I have with BTC is that we are kind of in a range here. So my bias is a little bit more neutral. I'm kind of waiting for a bit more information before I really do say, okay, things are bullish or things are bearish. And I'm looking to try and follow momentum either which way. Because I can see price do both things here, really. Momentum's, of course, up. It might be a similar situation to what we did over here, in terms of, price smashed into highs with some nice momentum here. We consolidated, and then, hey presto, we got a lovely break higher. Price is essentially doing the same thing. We've got prior highs, price rallied to the upside, back into the level. We're consolidating. Maybe price is just doing that before, again, we explode to the upside as well. Or I can see price putting in a major double top and actually exploding lower, and that could provide some nice sells, going back into these lows here. So I can see price going both ways. I would just wait to see price make that move first and then look for opportunities off the back of that. Yeah, I think that's probably the safest way to play it. There could be some shorts here as we do come back into this trend line. Of course, you've got prior swing highs here. We've got resistance there as well. If price does reject that well, that could be a nice short. Again, a bit more of an aggressive trade. Momentum's not in your favor. Yes, we do have a couple lower highs, but at the end of the day, this could just be a pullback for us to continue higher. So I would be careful with this opportunity. If you can see some healthy rejection, yes, it could look like a good trade, riding it back to lows. But like I said, the range is kind of where we at with the daily chart. And I would wait for us to kind of have a bigger breakout before kind of really putting the bias to one side there. I do think Bitcoin is still bullish, but I will wait for price to actually give us the confirmed break before I look to try and really find any opportunities of that. Because if we don't break the high, if we just push back into resistance and fall back down again, back to square one. So it doesn't really matter what my bias is, it just matters which way we break out. No problem, Entry, happy to help. By the way, guys, if you are enjoying the stream, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. It does really help out. If you are finding it useful, informative, educational, or just enjoying the stream, please be sure to drop a like. It does really help out. Subscribe to the channel as well, gets the content out there, helps grow the channel, of course. Hit the bell too, so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. But I do appreciate everyone who has liked and subscribed so far. In terms of the other CAD pairs, the other crosses, I haven't really been interested in the CAD pairs as of late. EuroCAD, of course, has had a lovely rally it is still looking for the most part pretty bullish to me. We had a bit of a sell-off yesterday, but nothing too significant. Nothing that would tell me that, okay, we're about to sell off now. It's just a bit of a bearish move, nothing significant. Again, the biggest takeaway with EuroCAD is, of course, where we're trading. If I go to the monthly chart, you see it in all its glory. A very, very big level of resistance here on the monthly chart. So the way I see it, if price is going to respect this, there could be a very big sell to be had. I would be looking at price at least coming back to retest an area like such. And although it doesn't look too big on the monthly chart, this is a pretty big swing back into that area. So definitely something to consider. But for now, we are testing resistance. There's, of course, resistance above us. Price is not guaranteed to respect this area just because it's a monthly level. Doesn't mean price has to respect it. Monthly levels will break as well. There is resistance above us here too. So if there is a breakout opportunity, there could be a big trend continuation and maybe a push back to 1.72 could be the play. So I would keep an eye on that. But for now, we are testing monthly resistance. We are starting to lose momentum a little bit with that sell. So it's a sign that we are slowing down and could be looking for a bit of a sell-off. But again, similar to which pair was it? Swiss yen. I would wait for some market structure in my favor first before looking to sell. And then I'll look to try and take some shorts off the back of that because price is still very bullish. It could still rally. And just like we said, it could still break resistance. It doesn't have to respect this area. But if we can find some lower highs, that'll be fantastic. Basic trade somewhere. Keep it relatively simple. Back into support as a target. I think that's a really nice trade to look into. So EuroCAD, massive resistance, somewhat respecting the level. If we can start to form some lower lows and lower highs, I think that'll be a great opportunity to find some shorts. And you've got some major support to target and hopefully book some profit as well. But patience with this one. What's up, Ak? Welcome to the stream. Is there a way to trade indices and metals without getting negative swaps? I don't trade indices like that, so I'm not even aware of how the swaps work on indices, to be honest. I'm not even aware of how the swaps work on indices, to be honest. Of course, in terms of currencies, you just pick the direction where the swap is positive, which, for currencies, it can be useful, maybe like some of the yen pairs, because they can be heavy hitting sometimes, but I'm not necessarily too worried about swaps because they're normally relatively small. And unless you're planning to hold your trades for like months on end, then maybe you're gonna take into account swaps. But even if you're gonna trade for like a couple of weeks, even a little bit longer than that, swaps aren't too painful because normally you'd be looking for a pretty big move as well, so it should compensate. But I'm not too aware how swaps work in indices. I own Elevating Traders, Sam. It's my prop firm. But you can go onto the website, you can go check it out, you can read through FAQs, go through information regarding challenges, and see if it's something that will suit you and something you're interested in. But I own Elevating Traders. Chill, what's up? I have no idea. Nick does talk a lot about Oanda, but again, I'm not in the US, so I don't know really what the best place to trade gold is in the US. I don't know. Again, a lot of US traders do dabble with futures. I've never traded futures before as well, so I can't really speak on that, to be honest. I'm very much CFD trading, FX pairs. That's really my forte, and that's where I focus on. So futures, not something I've looked into personally at all, at least to trade anyway. And of course, where to trade gold in the US. Again, I've heard Nick speak a lot about Oanda, but again, that's not from my mouth. That's what I've heard, which could be wrong. So I'll go check out Nick's channel. I think he's done some videos about how to where to trade gold and other CFDs in the US. So go check out his channel. But yeah, definitely not the best person to ask on that. 04 Medias, what's up? Pound Aussie is touching. Is it touching resistance? We'll go take a look at that. AC hold US 100 longs. Okay, they got heavy swap to go long. Same with gold. Well, I would imagine that the short bias would either be positive swaps, or at least the swaps be very, very minimal. Because if it's high cost swaps in one direction, the other direction, of course, well, an FX normally is positive, or at least it's going to be a very, very minimal negative, or just flat, basically. But yeah, if you're going to look to long US 100 and hold longs there, then I don't think there is a way around unless you trade it in a different way from like usual CFDs. Yeah, you will be looking to be charged for that, unless you're just going to focus on selling NAS, which again is not necessarily the best thing to do because it is primarily a bullish market. But there are opportunities there to sell. You just have to be very, very careful. And likewise with gold as well, go in the opposite direction. I don't think, I mean, it's been a while since I've shorted gold, but if there is going to be negative swaps, it will be very, very minimal. But I think it'll probably be positive, to be honest. Okay, we'll try. Well, you can use the discount code for 25% off. It's literally on the screen there. How fast do you pay out? Well, after the first 30 days of when you place your first trade of getting funded, within the week of you requesting your payout. Okay, so I'll go through pound Aussie. If I have missed out a pair, which I feel like I have, but I can't remember which pair. If someone's mentioned a pair and I haven't taken a look at it, let me know. And yeah, I will go take a look at the pair. But I am short pound Aussie. Price rejected resistance very well yesterday. Looks like we're coming back into test the level again. My stop loss is above the level there. So if price is going to rally through, I'll take the stop out and walk away from the position. Did see a bit of momentum in my favor, but nothing really concrete there, and hasn't really ripped to my favor or taken out any structure there. So I haven't managed the trade at all. Just entered with a stop above the high. And I'm going to see how that maneuvers. But we are looking pretty bullish with this candle pushing back into resistance. So it's going to be up to this level now to see if it's going to hold or not. And of course, if it does break the highs, I'll take the stop and then potentially switch the bias around to be bullish. If we are going to break through this level, then of course with a suitable break, if it just clears the level, I think I would just stay away. But if it's a big enough breakout, then I would be looking to try and see if we can swing back into the high there. But we'll see what that resistance has in store. Chill, what's your main trading pair and why? I don't really have a main trading pair. I look at a lot of different pairs. I have about 31 pairs that I trade. I don't have a main trading pair. because I'm always focused on the condition of the market rather than the pair. Because I mean, I do like trading pound USD, I do like trading pound yen. There's some of my better performing pairs, but I do not discriminate. If Aussie CHF is looking good, I'm trading it. If CAD JPY is looking good, I'm trading it. So I don't really have a main trading pair. I just look for the best opportunity which is available. That's good to hear. I mean, Elliot, it's on the screen. It's on the screen. It's ET25. It's literally the rolling advert at the bottom of the screen. ET520 for 25% off. How is pound NZD looking? Because of course it's a very similar pair to pound Aussie. Okay, that's pushing up as well, but very, very slight. How is Euro Aussie looking? Okay, that's still pushing up as well. Euro NZD. Looks like at the moment pound and euro are a lot stronger than Aussie and NZD. If we are going to continue this trend, we need to break out higher. But we'll see what price does at resistance. If it does break, I'll take the stop, and then I'll see what happens with the breakout. And if things look good, I'll look to switch the bias and take some longs. At the moment, resistance is still just about holding, but momentum is picking up. Again, there's not much for me to do apart from just sit and wait to see how price reacts. I've been looking for a lot more Aussie strength in the market, but it hasn't really come into play. We've seen a little bit of Aussie strength, but not as much as I was expecting. I've been looking for Aussie to get there. I mean, we've seen some strength there, but that's more to do with USD. I feel like weakness. It's looking a little bit weak at the moment at the highs. NZD USD, I'd imagine doing something similar as well. I mean, this is stuck at resistance, seeing a bit of a move down, but nowhere near as aggressive as Aussie. I mean, that one's pretty flat, so I'm not going to pay much attention to that. Aussie CHF is pushing down, so it does look like Aussie's quite weak at the moment. I think CHF strength is helping up there as well. And Aussie CAD pushing down slightly too. I mean, I do expect to see Aussie CAD rally back to highs. The way we bottomed out here, I'm kind of looking at something like this to happen. But it's a very, very corrective pair, and I don't really have a clear-cut level to buy from, so not too interested with the entries at the moment. What's up, Lighton? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let me guess, USDs are? Last time we looked at USDs, I think we recovered slightly. But price was still pretty bearish. I think with USD always pushing down, it's difficult for USDs to see some upside. Yeah, dollar CAD, UJ, sure thing. USDs no problem. I mean, it's too bad you always talk about USDs, so I would be more surprised if I didn't guess correctly. Okay, I'll start with USDs since we mentioned it first. So yeah, USDs, last time I looked at it was, oh, okay, look at that for USDs. We did push down. So last time I looked at it, we were here. We were looking a bit bearish, but then we had that bullish candle, which was slightly recovering. And now we recovered completely, left a massive wick there at support. So I like what I'm seeing here with USDs. It looks like we're bottoming out still. Potentially that bigger pullback, which I referred to early in the week, could still be on the cards. Back to 18.3. I still like the idea there. I still am long-term bearish for a push into 17.05. So I still do see USDs falling. But we are still kind of respecting this area of demand support. and price is rejecting it actually pretty well. I really like the way the daily candle closed. Nice piercing wick through the zone, pull back. Somewhat of a nice close. The candle could have been a bit bigger, but momentum has failed to break the low, and support is holding for now. So this could end up being a pretty big double bottom here, and we might see price recover back into that area before maybe we do take some nice selling opportunities. But because we didn't really sustain the breakout, I wouldn't be looking for the retest of this area anymore. What I mentioned yesterday in terms of looking for a breaking retest of this area and that area was dependent on the fact of us seeing more downside. And the fact that we did close straight back above in the next candle, you know, this is a textbook fake out, close below, close back above. Yeah, that's as literally as textbook as it get. And also provided we did leave a big wick on the daily chart, this does tell me that support is holding very well. And we could really see price rally here. So the way I'm looking at USDZAR right now is that we are bottoming out. I wouldn't be looking to short here. Yes, we might see some downside, but I wouldn't look for any sustained move. And in my opinion, looks like this is a nice area to try and pick up some longs. If we can see another retest of that area, I think that would be a smart place to buy back into the market. But I would be looking at 18.35 now. I think that could be a more sensible area for a short. Let's see how price reacts, and things look good. We might see some nice sells off the back of that. But buyers doing a very good job at respecting support here. If you're not long, I would say this is the best area for a long. Let's see if we can get there again. If not, then maybe the sells up there. 18.3 might be the next best call. But I wouldn't look to short from here anymore. That is not looking like a good trade. The market has very much found support here. It looks like it's starting to bottom out a little bit. I wouldn't want to keep shorting here. Now, to me, this is bullish territory where we can probably see some more upside. In terms of USD CAD, USD CAD looks pretty bearish to me, so I am still looking at more downside. A pushback to 1.35527 is still my expectation. I was looking for the retest of the high here, but unfortunately that just didn't play into my hands. Of course, we did see the retest of this area of demand, which was great. I was looking for price to come back and retest it, then sell, but we didn't get that, unfortunately. Price did break the floor. But I did mention this area yesterday as a nice level of support on the hourly chart, which could provide some nice shorting opportunities for us should we not get that retest of the high. And at the moment, it looks pretty good to me. Very strong breaks to the downside, a lot of momentum in that move. So basically just trying to find the next lower high on the way down. If I just clean up the chart. So basically just trying to find a pullback on the way down. And we've got one swing high over there, a second, and basically just expecting the third. And if everything goes well, could be seeing a push back into the lows here, or at least into this low. So yeah, the way I see it, USD CAD looks pretty bearish. Dollar as a whole is still looking pretty bearish too, so using that to our advantage as well. But this is the next best opportunity here for dollar CAD, 1.368 roughly for some shorts. This opportunity is still valid. If we could still see a push up there, great. I just doubt we get there, to be honest. Yeah, if we could see that bigger pullback, I'll be excited for that. And dollar yen, I feel like dollar yen is in the middle of nowhere. We're still kind of within the range here, so I'm not really seeing a lot of opportunity. We've got a lot of resistance just above us. Price has manipulated that on 2 separate occasions. We've got clear support just below us here. Price has tested it very well on a few occasions too. Recently this week we had the fake out, price came back, retested it, very nice sell off the back of that. Yeah, and now in the middle of the range, so there's not a lot to work with, there's not a lot to do. In the middle, that's where the most uncertainty will be. So this is not an area which I want to be looking to operate in, find entries, put stops, put entries, the target, sorry. This is not the area which I want to get involved in at all. If I'm looking to do business, it's up at the highs or down at the lows, whether I'm looking for price to respect the highs or break the highs, or respect the lows or break the lows, but those are the areas which I want to be operating in. So with dollar yen, I would wait for us to revisit those areas, and then I'll start to look to see how we react. Right now, the price action, I would say, is very, very messy. This just looks like a big consolidation with two freak breakouts there. So I would really avoid trading dollar yen. I would still be pretty bearish with this pair, funny enough. Kind of just looking at the continuation of this bearish trend. I think there's a good chance we still could come back and test support. But if we're going to try and trade that, then I need price to be back at resistance again so I could sell it. Or clearing lows so I can find a retest of that for a short there as well. Those are the only two opportunities which shorts look good to me. Yeah. Other than that, I would stay away. So 145.863 and 142.5, two areas I would focus on. Everything else probably would stay away. It depends if you're a bit more intraday. There might be some opportunities like on the 15-minute chart. Yeah, this is primarily focusing on the 4-hour chart. I mean, 50-minute chart, there will be some short-term selling ideas here, but again, I'll keep it very, very short-term because yes, there might be some opportunities on the 15, but you're still within a range. On the 4-hour, which still does have some weight, so it's not like, okay, we're trending on the 15, so let me just trade that. If we're still very messy on one time frame, we are messy, especially if it's the higher one. So I'd watch out for that. Liking the USDZAR breakdown, appreciate it. No problem, man. Happy to help. But yeah, USDZAR looks good. I actually like USDZAR. The rejection of support was quite nice, especially the way we formed the fake out as well. So to me, it does look like USDZAR can see some more upside. But it has been a very interesting week. The indices are very, very bullish. I wasn't expecting that, to be honest. I was actually looking for a bit more of a pullback for these indices before we do go higher. But nope, US 30 is looking very bullish. The S&P is looking very bullish. NAS looking very bullish. I think both the S&P and NAS created new highs this week, didn't they? So NAS, new highs, S&P, new highs. Yeah, just about new highs today. US 30 lagging behind. So I think US 30, there's a lot of opportunity here, really. I say that because we are nowhere near the all-time highs. And of course, US 100 and US 500, so S&P and NAS, have both just seen fresh highs. So there's a very strong chance that US 30 is going to follow suit and eventually going to do the exact same thing. It's just lagging behind quite a lot right now. So in terms of where the buy opportunity is, it's with US 30. Because we're likely to do what S&P and likely to do what NAS has done, but we haven't done it yet. So there's value there. Of course, I wouldn't look to buy it now. Market's already had a pretty big move, so I wouldn't be looking to buy it at those highs. Would I look to buy on the retest of this high? Probably not yet. I need a slightly bigger breakout because we are, the way we're moving, we're just kind of clearing highs, then pulling back. I don't want to be in a situation where we've cleared highs again, and we do see that bigger pullback. I mean, if we do, that's fine as well. I would consider this as an area of interest. But to retest this level, I would need to see a bigger breakout just to really confirm that, okay, momentum has really picked up. We're kind of leaving this mess behind. And now we're starting a new, somewhat bullish trend with some momentum. So that's what I would be interested in. But yeah, if we do have a deeper pullback, this brief kind of area of demand would suffice as well for an opportunity. And basically just trying to catch the next higher low and ride it to the upside. But yeah, US 30 is where I do see opportunity. We're not at the all-time highs, nowhere near the all-time highs really. So the way I see it, there's so much opportunity there for Dow Jones. Good morning, Yusuf. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. I am doing good. I'm doing good. Glad to see you on the stream. I think next week will be interesting. We got NFP next week, I'm pretty sure. And we've got, of course, got the end of the month on Monday. So I'm going to recap the month's price action for June, see how we close, see how we shape up, where momentum lies as well. We do have some news this afternoon for dollar PCE at 130. Michigan consumer sentiment at 3 o'clock as well this afternoon. Not massive news, but definitely can move the market a bit. I'm just looking at the news for next week. CPI for Euro on Tuesday. Wait, no NFP? No NFP on Friday. I think it's the following Friday. Yeah, no NFP next Friday. I thought it was next Friday. But yeah, it probably would be the following Friday for July. So yeah, next week is not looking too crazy with news, to be honest. Yeah, I thought NFP was next Friday. Okay, that means the week after is when probably can expect some fireworks. But in terms of dollar anyway, it's looking very dry. So I got a feeling that we can see some upside soon. But I'm not going to look to try and trade or try and bet on upside on the dollar until I see some conviction in the market. I was looking to see price will break through the resistance here this week. That didn't happen. We respected resistance. We had a bit of a sell-off. Yeah, and price of course has broken through lows. So if we are going to be bullish, do you need to see something like this happen? If not, then yeah, we very much could just continue higher. And if that's the case, then I will kind of, well, if that's the case and we do break the highs, then I'll look for buys. But if we don't get that and the market stays consistent with the lower highs, then yeah, of course, we can continue to fall. This is still a nice area for a retest, to be honest. So if the market was to pull back into here, I think that's still an area which we could sell off from. There's somewhat of a trendline confluence running through the market there. Could very much see another lower high form there and a continuation. So USD as a whole still very bearish, which of course keeping Euro USD pushing higher, pound pushing higher, Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar pushing higher for that what? Gold not really pushing higher, to be honest, starting to fall now. How is gold looking? Are we piercing the lows? Not many people are talking about gold at the moment, so it looks like the hype is dying down a little bit. Yeah, we are looking to have bearish. Not really seeing much momentum though. Haven't really pushed through the lows. But yeah, with gold looks like it is breaking through support here. Then I'm going to have to kind of back away now from gold buys. At least from a 4-hour standpoint. Like I said, the daily chart still looks very bullish. The weekly, the monthly, the higher time frames, daily and above, are still convincingly very, very bullish. But the more intraday charts, that's not the case. And of course, the intraday charts don't necessarily dictate the direction of the overall market, but they do tell you what's happening now. And if the market isn't bullish now, well, then it's probably not the best time to buy the market now. Probably waiting for price to have a deeper pullback, look for some reactions a little bit lower down, and then potentially there could be some buys to follow. But looking at the daily chart, this is still such a bullish market, so I am still looking to buy it as a whole. But if we are going to break support here, which looks likely, then I would be looking at a lower high to form, perhaps on the retest of this low here, or on the retest of this range here to speak. If we can see a strong break of that, then yes, a lower high looks likely to me. And I would be betting on a pushback down into this zone here, 31.50 more or less. And then maybe we can speak about some longs afterwards. But silver, gold, sorry, not looking too good. Silver not looking too good either, for that matter. Both are looking quite bearish. Strong push to the downside. I know silver has got some meaningful support in this area. A lot of wicks in this area, so potentially we could still see silver react with this area and push through, but I'm not convinced personally. We had a very strong reaction at this head and shoulder level. So you got the left shoulder, the head, right shoulder. Are we forming a head and shoulder pattern here to reverse? Could be. Again, I'm not really interested in shorting silver, so that head and shoulder pattern doesn't really do much for me. My concern is just really with this big level here at 34.7. What can price do with that level? If we do respect it well, I think there's a massive move to be had. If we do break below, then I probably will just reconsider my bias with silver. I think long term we still will be bullish. Even if you do break back below, it just means that I won't be looking to buy it just yet. I'll need some more information, more development before I do find an entry. But for now, that is where my focus is to get involved. Yusuf, thoughts on gold and UJ today? So yeah, as I mentioned, gold's just looking very bearish. I think we're likely to keep falling. If you're talking about an intraday point of view, like a 15-minute chart for gold, then yeah, I would still be looking to sell regardless, to be honest. It looks like price is taking out this low. I would wait for a bigger pullback though, because now that we are taking that low, might see some buyers enter the market, maybe sellers take profit. But the way I see it, we had another corrective pullback here. Market's topped out. So I would be looking for maybe drive back into this area. Retest of somewhere in there. That would be a nice place for a short for me. And yeah, I'll be looking at more downside. I don't think I'll be looking for anything crazy. Gold has been trending to the downside for a while now. Basically since the high over there we formed last week, or actually no, Monday. Yeah, so at the start of this week we formed the high, which has been trending lower since then. I would still say that the bears are very much in control of the market. So pullback and shorts look good. I like the brief support formed over here. Nice pullback, nice continuation. Of course, it does line up support there as well. So I think this is a smart place for a short, even if we have a slightly deeper pullback into the zone. And then, yeah, naturally a push back into the lows makes the most sense. I did say I've got some targets around 31.50, but of course, from a 50-minute standpoint, you're probably not going to try and short it all the way there. Again, there's nothing wrong with leaving positions to trail, but I think if you take most of your profit there, you're making sense. But yeah, the main highs for gold are still very bearish, very consistent with the lower highs here. So I would expect another one to form. And judging the higher time frames, it looks likely to, but this is where I expect gold to end up at. In terms of dollar yen on the 15-minute chart, like I said, we're kind of stuck within a range here, so I'm not really interested in trading in trading dollar yen. I mean, we've had some nice bullish structure as of late. We had that very anticlimactic move higher. We had a big sell, a pullback, then a continuation. The way I see it, if we can pull back like this, that could be another lower high to short from. Maybe respecting some support on our left there, but that's more of like a wishful thinking. I'll wait to see how we pull back, to be honest. There's a brief range here. I think that would be a more useful area to short from. I can see prices for the most part respecting this level, but it's not a deep enough pullback for me to get excited. Yeah, I'll at least wait for 0.618 here, that zone, before looking to short. But basically the plan is to try and catch the next swing high. One over there, hopefully find the next one. Of course, you had the initial one over there, and then maybe that takes us into the prior low and maybe back into the low there as well. So yeah, dollar yen, I would be bearish on the 15. I think more downside looks good. Like I said, we're in the middle of the range, so it's just not the preferred area, the optimal area to be finding trades. But there is some type of bearish trend there we can work with. Again, the best trade was the test of the high because it lined up with structure in the high time frames and it made sure kind of away from all the noise. But structure is still pretty bearish, so my bias would be short. Dima, no problem. Have a great weekend as well. Thank you for tagging along. So yeah, from a 50-minute standpoint, I would be pretty bearish. But yeah, when you are looking at the 50-minute chart, always do keep an eye on the higher time frames. I would say 4-hour chart / daily chart, keep an eye on. Of course, in terms of your actual trading decision, whether you get into a trade or not, that's probably going to be judged on like the 15-minute chart in terms of the actual entries and probably stop loss placement and targets. But if you can find out what the daily chart is doing, what the 4-hour chart is doing, it kind of gives you a nice overview of what the 50-minute chart could do, or just basically where you're positioned. Because sometimes you do get a bit too zoomed in on the 15 or the 5-minute or whatever time frame you're trading on. You kind of forget what the bigger picture is doing. And you can use the bigger picture to your advantage, because of course all trading is just making educated decisions on where the market is likely to go next. And if you can utilize the 4-hour chart, the daily chart, which is a more significant time frame than the 15, which will provide more information, well, it will help kind of filter or provide a filter for some trades in the 15, which probably didn't make sense when you're kind of expanding out. So always keep an eye on the 4-hour, always keep an eye on the daily. I even keep an eye on the monthly sometimes when I'm trading on the 4-hour chart. Again, not necessarily to base a trade from a monthly time frame, but just to see the overall momentum or where we're seeing a lot of rejection, and just see what the bigger picture is doing. You know, sometimes it's just to understand the bigger picture rather than really to back up a trade. But it does provide a lot of information. So make sure you're always looking at the higher time frames before you do take a trade. Elliot, yeah, it's the one-step challenge is just one step to get funded. But yeah, no question is a dumb question. If you don't know the answer, ask the question. But yeah, the one step is of course just one step to pass. 2-step is 2 steps to pass, and then you get funded. And the 3-step is 3 steps to pass and you get funded. Of course, each variation of the challenge has different criteria in terms of the max drawdown, in terms of the profit targets as well. So you want to be aware of that too. But depending on your kind of style, if you're looking for a challenge with a bit more drawdown, then the 2-step is probably something you're probably going to look at if you want a bit more room with your drawdown. If you don't mind less drawdown but you want less targets, then maybe the 1-step is something to consider. No problem, happy to help. Again, make sure you use the discount code for 25% off. You can also check out the Discord link as well. There's some more updates and information there if you haven't checked out already. Links to that is in the description below. But it is Friday today, so we are going to be getting some weekly candle closures. It's going to be interesting to see how some of these weekly candles do close. Let me get rid of my drawing so you can see it better. But for the most part, USD pairs, I would imagine we're seeing some strong candle closures. No problem. Check out the FAQ page for more information, because the FAQ page will have all the information about each challenge and each step and all the requirements. So give that a read so you understand what the correct requirements are, what the rules are, and what you can expect. So just Google Elevating Traders or elevatingtraders.com, and at the tab, at the top of the tab, there should say FAQ. Click on that. It will give you a lot more information about each challenge. So I recommend to go through that. But yes, weekly candle looking very bullish, of course. The USD pairs have been flying this week. Yep, pound USD pushing higher after respecting the high previously. Dollar CAD looking pretty bearish. So the key takeaway with the weekly candles here, I mean, dollar CAD's not doing too much there actually. The key takeaway with the weekly candles, I always look at the weekly candles to gauge momentum for the upcoming week or rejection for the upcoming week. Let's say price is at resistance, for example, like back over here, you can see there's a clear level of resistance, and you can see this weekly candle gave us a nice wick and a strong bearish close. Well, because we're at resistance, because we just had a strong rejection there, there's a good chance that the following week or the following couple of weeks will be bearish after that. Of course, not guaranteed, but there's a high probability that we will push lower than push higher. Always be prepared for upper wicks as well. Sometimes they can be quite long. Of course, in this case, there was not much of an upper wick. We just kind of melted. But sometimes we could provide a bit of upper wick first before continuing bearish, so be careful of that. In fact, you probably want to see an upper wick because it gives you an opportunity to get entries at a better price the following week. But the key takeaway here is resistance, big wick rejection, strong close. The likelihood is that we are going to see downside. Then we did see bearish candles for the next 3 weeks before price did push higher. So the main thing I'm looking at is rejection or momentum. And in terms of momentum, I'm just looking to see how candles close. So for example, this candle doesn't really imply rejection, but it does show that there's a lot of bearish momentum present in the market. So the chances are we are probably going to keep falling the next couple of weeks, maybe push back into support here, which is what price did. Again, in this situation, momentum is very bullish. We probably are going to push back into the high here. In this case, we didn't do it straight away. We actually consolidated for about 10 weeks there, probably more, before we actually did go and hit resistance. But momentum did continue. It just had a big pullback and came back to test, this area here before eventually momentum did continue again. So it's not something that's always going to guarantee, okay, momentum's there, we are going to keep falling. You have to watch out for support and resistance. And sometimes momentum will take a bit of a breather as well, come back to find support before we do continue. So it's not always guaranteed that the next week has to be bullish or be bearish. But the general direction is that, okay, there's a lot of momentum. We probably are going to push the resistance. And eventually we did go and do that. So basically what I'm seeing with this week's price action with dollar CAD is not much. I'm not really seeing any major momentum. I'm not really seeing any major rejection either. There's support below us here. That's probably where price is headed towards, back to the low here. But not really showing much momentum rejection. So there's nothing really to take away there. With dollar CAD. In terms of Aussie dollar, yes, nice candle there, but I wouldn't even follow that momentum really, because it looks like we just left another wick with all these prior wicks here. This to me is like an area of resistance, and we're kind of just closing within that right now. So I'm not really seeing much opportunity there. Again, most weeks won't provide you with a good candle, which actually means something. Most weeks will just be very, very flat. There's a lot of consolidation in FX, but some weeks will give you a really nice signal that, okay, next week we can look to make a judgment off that. Yusuf, no problem. Okay, good. That is good. That is good. Yeah, make it a habit. Make it a habit. Of course, at the moment, it's a habit just to jump straight to the 15. But just by making kind of conscious decisions, you can raise the habit over time. You're not just going to flip the switch and it's going to go away overnight. Any habit in any walk of life is, of course, going to take some time to get rid of. But it's definitely something that's going to benefit you. Looking at the higher time frames, if you're going to trade the 15, keep an eye on the 4 hour. Even sometimes keep an eye on the daily as well. And again, it just will act like a good filter. It will give you more information for your trading. The 50-minute chart at the end of the day is where you're going to base your trades. It's going to base your entry. You can get your confirmations there. You're going to manage your trade there. You're probably going to take your exits there as well. So everything is going to be on the 15. But time frames, you have to remember, time frames is just periods of that time. So the 50-minute chart is the exact same as the 4 hour chart. It's the exact same as the daily chart. It's the exact same as the monthly chart. It's all the same thing, just grouped differently. So by looking at the higher time frame, you're kind of looking at the overall picture of what the market you're trading is doing. If you're just looking at the smaller time frames, you're so concerned about the minor fluctuations that the bigger, more meaningful, significant moves is something that you're not really informed with. And of course, that could lead you taking some trades that, if you do zoom out, probably didn't really make too much sense at the time. So just give yourself that kind of bird's eye view of the market. Again, it's not going to solve all your trading problems, but it would definitely help you pick better trades on average, and probably position yourself better for bigger moves too. Because if you can see a potential swing on the 4-hour chart, if you can get in on the 15, well, the risk reward could be pretty big if that move does play out. But yeah, definitely a filter for just picking better trades, just keeping an eye on the higher time frame. A good habit would be to look at the higher time frame first and then look at your 15. So, because sometimes you could look at the 15, have a bias, have a trade. You look to the 4-hour chart and you kind of look for reasons to back up that trade rather than the other way around, which would be better. Looking at the 4-hour chart, deriving a bias, and then backing that up with 15 and waiting for the 15 to form that setup as well. That's a good situation rather than the other way around. Forex God tier, what's up? Hope you are well. I'm doing good. Thank you. I think about gold. A lot of questions there, Forex God tier. I mean, as a whole on gold, I am still very bullish. That's the key takeaway. The reason why I'm still bullish is because the major time frames, daily, weekly, monthly, is still very much in a strong uptrend. So I see price still continuing higher. But at the moment, we are struggling at highs. On the 4-hour chart, we're starting to break through support. So that's a bit of a red flag. And yes, this kind of area of resistance here on the weekly chart is not really, price is really struggling there as well. On the month's candle, I mean, we've of course got the rest of today and Monday before we do close, I think. Monday is the end of the month, isn't it? Yes, Monday is the end of the month. So that could change. That could fluctuate. Again, trying to predict which way we're going to close is quite a difficult thing to do. So I'm not going to do that. But what I can say is that the likelihood is we are probably going to leave a pretty big wick here to the upside. Even if this doesn't close bearish, even if we do push higher up slightly by the end of Monday, we probably are still going to have a pretty meaningful wick there. So there's a clear sign to me that says, okay, gold is starting to slow down, which means July could provide probably another wick, or we could look to be flat again next month, or maybe even push down. But we are starting to struggle. So I do think gold can have a deeper pullback. We are still bullish, but I think a deeper pullback is likely. In terms of today's price action, I think we look pretty bearish here. It looks like support to our left is starting to break, which is the key thing I said we shouldn't do for gold. If support does break here, that could open up the door for gold to drop all the way back to these lows here at 3140, 3150. And it looks like we are starting to break support, because this was the bullish structure which kept gold bullish on the 4-hour chart. Higher highs and higher lows. Now it looks like that support's about to break. We've already got these low highs here, which to me look like they can still very much continue. So as for today's price action, yes, we might have a bit of a push up higher, but I would expect it just to be a pullback for us to keep falling. As long as price doesn't take out this high here, I would stay bearish for gold intraday. I think we're likely to keep falling. This is now my next big target for gold. Of course, long term we're still quite bullish, but we are seeing a lot of failure at the highs here, so I do think we can retrace. And then I'm looking to see maybe if I can pick up some longs from this zone down at 3140, 3150. So yeah, in terms of trying to predict whether it will rise today or fall today, bit difficult, but what I can say is momentum looks pretty bearish. We might rise today, but I would still deem that to be a pullback as long as we don't take out this high. We might just see the pullback today, but I would expect us to keep falling. From a higher time frame standpoint, it looks like there's more downside to be had, so I'm looking for 3150. But again, I'm still bullish as a whole, so if we do get there, see some healthy rejection, I think buys will look good later on. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with gold for now. Yeah, I think that would be wise. That would be wise, but it's not looking good for gold. I wouldn't be looking to buy it, that's for sure. That's kind of my take. Yes, we might see some upside, but I expect it to be a retracement for more downside. But anyway, guys, we have come up to the end of the stream. I hope you have all found it useful, enjoyed it, found it informative. If that's the case, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. It does really help out the channel. I do really appreciate each and every one of you tuning in, dropping a like on the stream, subscribing does really help out. And of course, all the kind messages you guys do leave on the chat is, of course, always appreciated. But as for next week, I'll be live every day from Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. UK time. So if you're free, pop in, come and say hi. Of course, on the weekend, I'll be posting my analysis for this week and forecasting the next. So do keep a lookout for that as well. But guys, really do appreciate you tuning in. Check out the Discord link to Elevating Traders. If you haven't joined the Telegram for Zentrix, make sure you go and do that. I'll drop the link in the stream again. But if you are looking, if you are interested in how AI can help impact your trading, utilize it for developing automated systems, whether you're looking at how to improve your technicals in terms of creating a strategy, indicators, improving on a strategy, or how to digest fundamental data, definitely something to look into, and of course can definitely help improve your trading, and it probably will be a very pivotal tool in the near future for trading. So definitely something you want to learn and get involved with. So check out the Telegram if you haven't joined it yet. But the link is there in the stream. But guys, really appreciate you tuning in. Have a great one, and I'll catch you all in the next stream.
Zentrix AI. The advanced AI-powered trading platform for every trader. Everything you need for trading success. Research, strategy, automation. All in one platform. Right strategies in plain language. We build the bots. Forex, crypto, stocks, futures. Every market. Trade smarter, not harder. Zentrix AI. The advanced AI-powered trading platform for every trader.